And can you still see my screen, Josh?
I can.
Okay. Well, great. Let me welcome to this month's December BlueDAG webinar, and we're going to talk about generating reports today. So we've covered a lot of different topics over the last, 6 months or so, and mobile app and all kinds of different things. But one of the areas that we want to hone in on today is how to customize your report and modify it to your liking and so forth. So we're going to walk you through that today. But first off, the first thing I want to cover is there's two different kind of reports. There's a landscape report and a portrait report. So let me just drag this over here and show you what it looks like here. Can you see that okay, Josh?
I can.
All right, awesome. So here is a typical, this is what we would call a landscape report. Now the cover letter and the cover page, this is the cover page here, comes in a portrait. But when you get into the findings, right here, you'll see there's a landscape option. So what this option does is it allows you to sort your findings by area description and finding number and so forth with a different view. And you can add or subtract these different fields and also these photos and figures, whether you want that or not. Also, you can include the status of the finding, if it's complied or corrected, if you're doing a reinspection and so forth. So I just want people to be aware that there is a landscape report and also a portrait report. So that's the landscape report. We'll get into how you can change all these different fields here in just a minute. The portrait report is probably what most people use, and that is this one right here. Same project, but you can see it's a little bit smaller. It's the landscape report. What's it print out in, Josh? 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14?
It's legal format, so 8.5 by, I believe it's 14.
Okay, so yeah, it's a lot longer. So it's when you print it out, it's a much larger formatted report. But this one is the portrait report, standard 11 by 8.5 by 11, and cover letter, and then your findings and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you how to adjust your cover letter title. We're going to show you how to adjust this, as well as add your cover letter and how you can add custom cover letters if you have that package, and also edit it on the fly or copy and paste in there and so forth. So with that being said, the first item is let's get into where we do this. So for those of you that are new to BlueDAG, this is our dashboard screen, and what we have to do is we have to actually get into an evaluation. So on the dashboard, it lists all your evaluations wherever you're working. If you're over on the East Coast or Midwest, it'll show all your projects in your geographical area, and it geotags them on the left. On the right, it lists them all. So we're going to go into this one right here, which is our ABC demo report here, and this is our main overview screen, as many of you are familiar with. And we're going to go down here is the get my annotator up here real quick. So right down here you see evaluation report. So whenever at this point we've already created an evaluation, we've already gone out taking pictures either with the mobile app, we've already set up our whole evaluation, put all our findings in, or barriers as we use, as another term for finding. They're one and the same essentially, but you have all these, you've already done all that. You've already completed all your inspection and put in all your notes and as pictures and everything using the findings tab up here. So we've covered that in a different webinar. So for this webinar, we're going to focus in right here on the evaluation report. So once you click on the evaluation report here, clear off this drawing, click right here, it takes us to the evaluation report screen. So this is the screen that, whenever you're going to generate a report, you're going to want to be in here. If you're in this screen, it automatically defaults if you come through the evaluation. So if you're already on evaluation number, this particular one is 44 ABC demo, but I mean, you can also go through and just select a different one right here. So I mean, if you selected the wrong one, I don't have multiple ones in here, or I think I have to type, A, B. Yeah, so you just type some text and you can it'll sort all your evaluations that you've had. So if you want to switch on another one, maybe you've generated, you've got a strip mall and you've done 3 different buildings and you got 3 different evaluations and you just want to generate all the reports, from one screen, you can do that here. So for this one, I'm going to start right here, report layout. This is where you select portrait or landscape. I already showed you both of those. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the report title right here is totally customizable. And again, that is this right here. So you see that okay, Josh? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. Did your microphone?
Sorry, Paul, what was that?
Oh, I just said, can you see that okay?
Oh, I can, yes.
The report with the circle around this accessibility evaluation?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So that is where you set this up right here. So I mean, you can type right in here. It tells you how many characters you have left right here. So you can customize it. If you don't want site accessibility evaluation, you want ADA report or Jim's favorite ADA report of whatever you want to customize right there. And then it looks like we're getting some questions. So if you can monitor those, Josh, and let me know if anything we need to cover as we're going through here. Let me know.
Oh, they're only coming through between the panelists.
Okay, awesome. And then right here, the subtitle, this section right here is, we have some default text in here for, standard ADA reports. For those of you with federal agencies, we can add, we probably want to add the ABA in here. So we can change these anytime. So if anybody has any suggestions, we can add or subtract these. But even if we don't have it, all you got to do is click one and you can change it to whatever you'd like. So you could just pick ADA Title 2 here, and it puts text down here. And basically, this is customizable. You can just override it, and it'll put whatever you want. That field that you type in there is going to show up right. That's this field right here. So whatever you type right here in this this field right here is going to show up on that cover letter of your report. If you mess up, just reselect it. Select a different one. You can go through any of these if you're California or whatever, or if you don't even want it, just hit NA and it won't print anything there. So it's real flexible. It has these defaults for you, and then you can override on the fly and type on whatever you want right there. So that's the report subtitle. So report layout, report title, report subtitle, customizable on the fly right there. Then we're going to get into our report sections. Now these sections are going to be what you want to include in the report, such as a cover letter. So and we also in California, if you are doing a CASP evaluation, or coming out shortly if you're doing a TAS evaluation in Texas, and you selected that as your inspection type in the evaluation detail screen that we were in previously, when you set up your evaluation, it'll include those forms. We're continuing to develop those, and more will be coming. But in this particular case, I've selected a CASP evaluation, and this particular item right here is the notice to property owner. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. So these are just basically sections in the report, cover letter, and then if we go to the end of the report, the notice to property owner, that's what's required in California to do a CASP evaluation. Obviously, if you selected ADA only or an ABA inspection type, none of this will even show up. It filters it for you. But if you select that right here, it moves over to the right, and that's going to be now included in the report. If you select cover letter, now it's going to include a cover letter. Common questions for readily achievable barrier removal. That's this. Excuse me, I'm still fighting a cold here. That is this section right here in the report. Common questions on readily achievable barrier removal. So if you're doing a Title III facility, you could include that. If you don't want it, if you selected it inadvertently and you want to get rid of it, just double click it again. It pushes it back over there, and now it's not going to be in the report. And you can double click there, and start back over. So we're going to include cover letter, the notice to property owner, barrier removal, and then the estimated timeline report. Again, that's another CASP California thing. So I'm just going to include it here, but it will include that in your report. And just a quick see right here is this those of you doing CASP evaluations in California here, it'll print out your estimated timeline report for your client to fill out, be part of the CASP program if you want that. Then it's going to ask you to pick your cover letter template. Now we have some default templates in here, and in a minute after I go through this, I will show you how to customize this. But for now, I'm just going to pick a Title III cover letter. And what it does is it opens up this whole field right here, and this is all totally customizable. And we have some default text in there, and we actually don't recommend that you use it. We want you to read it and customize it for you, and make sure it's what you want to say, and there's typos and all that kind of stuff. But you can, this is just a default one that we put in the system to kind of just get you going. And then when I show you how to set up your own custom letters, if you've got that part of your package, you could have your own templates for different clients. You could have a whole list right here of, if you have a big client you work with a lot, you're doing a ton of evaluations for, you could set up a predefined template so you don't have to retype it every time. And it will also merge in keywords like the site address, the evaluation title, and all that kind of stuff. And I'll show you how to set that up in a minute. Moving down from the cover letter, assuming your cover letter is right. The other thing I'll point out too is that you can also, if you have Microsoft Word, you can just cut and paste your Word doc and paste it right into that letter. Let's see here, where did it go? Here we go. So let's say you have you have your company letterhead, and you have, you can go to Microsoft Word or whatever you use for your word processing software. Just copy it right from Word, and then you can just come right in here and blow all this out right on the fly and paste your text right back in there, and it will now show up in that PDF when we generate it. You could, that way you can work in Word and then import it into BlueDAG once you've massaged it, or you can massage it on the fly right here. This part right here, this next section right here, it's called additional findings, and actually Josh and I were talking about how to reword this and make it more clear. But essentially what these two checkboxes are going to do is they're going to either include or not include barriers or findings in your evaluation that are either open. It defaults to open. So any finding that has a status of open, it will automatically include it into the report. But if you want to include ones that have been corrected or compliant, you have to check these boxes. So let me show you where that is in the finding screen. So in the finding screen here, we'll be coming back to this quite a bit. Go into edit mode here. So now we're in a typical finding screen where we add our barriers to our report. And this particular one's for parking. But if we scroll down to the very bottom of the center column here, you'll see that there's a bottom field down here called status. And if I click the box here, once I'm in edit mode, I can change the status from excuse me, from open to corrected or compliant. So some people, we'll use corrected. If we go back, especially if we're working on a barrier removal client that we go out and we have 25 barriers that we found, and they embark on their barrier removal plan, and then they want us to have us come back out to verify that they were done, because they determined that out of the 25, 15 of them were readily achievable. They got them done in the last 4 months. They want us to come back out and document that without having to reinvent the whole report. I can just change the status of the original barrier from open to corrected, and then that lets me know, and also I can generate a report that includes those items or doesn't include those items, and it'll actually put a watermark on there. So if you're doing a legal report for an attorney or something, and they want you to verify that things were corrected, you can either include that in the report or not include that in the report on the fly. And also there's compliant. We've had some CASPs and ADA consultants out there like to log everything that is compliant. The client has hired them to come in and do an inventory of all accessibility elements, and whether they're compliant or not, they want them documented that they're either in compliance or not in compliance, and this allows you to filter your report very easily. So that's what this is asking of you right here on the on this section right here. It's basically, it really means, do you want to include findings or barriers that have a status of corrected or compliant in your report? It will always include open status automatically, so you don't have to. It's only if you want to include that in the report for you. The next section is a is a very involved section, and it's a really it's got a lot to it. So you're going to check boxes based on different things to include in the report. Do you want the as-built? And let's go back to the report so we can kind of tie this together. And if we go to here, and oops, my mouse is not working here. There we go. Let's go back to the beginning here, and we go into here. You can see there's a section here called as built right here on the, and I'm going to zoom in here so we can see that a little better. So that as built here, and what this is asking you, do you want to include the as built? And the as built is where you enter it, is right here on this screen, which is right up here. You can see right here we have two non-compliant. So it's basically, do you want to include this field in your report? And so if you check that box, if you check the as-built box, it's going to excuse me, it's going to include whatever you put in here in your field, grab bar height, the cross slope of a panel or whatever. It's going to include that in the report right here. If you don't check that box, it'll be totally blank. You won't even see it in the report. So it's pretty slick. So it's your ability to either add or not add. It adds that flexibility for you on the fly to include that. The next one we have is the recommendation field. Now the recommendation field is right here, is this field. So whatever you type in there, that's just an open field for you to, if you're working with your client and they want you to make recommendations, such as, remove and replace 250 linear feet of concrete, hire a contractor, consult an engineer, replace door sign with proper door sign, whatever you want to put, you can put there. So, and then again, it will include that text or whatever that you want in the report. I didn't generate a report with recommendation, but it essentially will put it, just so you know, it will put it right below the finding. So you'll have your finding text, any code text if you choose that, and then right under the citation as built and budgeting range before the picture and figure, it'll put a recommendation field. So a very useful tool in some cases. That's recommendation field. Next one is the budgeting range. And again, that comes from right here. It's an optional field. So if you're including, costing estimates for your client and you want to include that, you would want to check that box. And again, that shows up in the report right here in the budgeting range, right next to the as-built above the figure. So that's an optional field. The next one we have is the citation figure. Now the citation figure is pretty useful because we're constantly updating them. But if you have a figure in the report that goes along with what's wrong, you've just written up a door maneuvering space, or in this case a parking stall that's not wide enough, then you have the figure that's right next to the finding. So it's real helpful.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
This is Josh. I just wanted to jump in real quick. We've had a few requests to allow our subscribers to upload their own figure in that space. We are working on that for 2017 to give you that ability to replace that figure per finding.
Okay.
In the interim, though, we do say if you want to use your own figure, you can upload it as the main finding photo, which Paul will go through here in a moment, or one of the additional photos at this time. Yeah,
that's going to be real helpful. So so eventually you'll be able to customize your own figure here, and whoops, going haywire on me here. Your own figure right here. If you don't like the one we have in the default, and especially for you architects or designers out there that have your own, in-house stuff, you may want something more than just the generic code figure that we have. And so what, Josh, you'll be able to eventually just like the picture, be able to drag it right in here into the figure field, and then it'll show up in the report.
Yes, we would allow you some methodology of being able to replace that on the fly.
Yeah, I imagine that takes a little bit of programming.
A little bit.
Well, that'll be a cool feature. So right now it defaults. If you don't like the figure that we have, what you can do is just not check this box, and it won't include the figure. And then what it will do let me see if I have a finding that has it. It'll basically, the report will compensate for it and blow the picture up. It's basically going to be about this big on the in the finding field. So it'll get rid of the it'll get rid of this figure, and it'll blow the picture up all the way across, you know, and make it much bigger and usable. And then what you can do, if you don't like that, you know, because you don't like our figure for whatever reason, or you want something customized, what you can do is in the additional photos up here, drag your own figure in, and then what it'll do is if you include additional photos in your report, you'll be able to have figures in here, your own custom, maybe you have your own design firm's standard details or something like that for curb ramps or whatever you might be doing. So you have the ability, just being a little creative on how you set your report up, to have your own and get rid of the ones we have if you don't like it. So you could just, again, add your own details and additional findings rather than, you know, even if it says photos, you could just do a JPEG of your detail, include that in the report, and then don't select our citation figure right here, and then you'd be on your way. The next one we have is citation text. Now I gotta, if we have time, I've got a report error, problem, formatting issue I want to share with you guys. And the citation text is challenging because, you know, when we set up all these different barriers, there's, you know, some of the code text, especially in the 91 ADA. I mean, section, what is it, 101? It's basically the beginning of the 91 ADA. I mean, the text is, you know, 2 pages long. And even in the CBC and some of the ADA, some of the citation text can be really long. So what it does is they've designed the report to float, but but there's a limit to it. So you got to be careful when you select citation text. It's certainly a good option for you, but I would recommend only selecting citation text if you don't have multiple barrier standards. I mean, if you select 91 ADAS, 2010 ADAS, 2013 CBC, 2016 CBC, and you select code citation text, it's gonna put it in the report for you, but you're gonna end up having, instead of having one clean finding like this report right here, you're gonna end up with 2 pages of code text. So you just got to be real careful on what you're trying to achieve. Under all circumstances, you're always going to have the code citation reference, so the client or you can go look it up. But if you're really after this, what we call the code citation text right here, and in this case, you can see we've got the 13 CBC and the 2010. And again, if you had a ABA or ANSI, it would include those standards too here. But you know, you got to be careful with that. This one's not too bad. You've got you know, two code sections that pertain to the door maneuvering space, and it's not a lot of text, so it formats pretty straightforward here. But it's in italicized, so you can kind of tell the difference. And this is what it's asking. It's going to include the actual code verbiage from the code section for that barrier, that finding, and that is what this question mark right here is asking you. Do you want to include the code text in your report? So again, we're still right down in here in this area. The next one is barrier rating. Kind of a controversial item. You know, Mark's not a big fan of it, but we put it in there for flexibility. And it is, I don't have it in this report, but in the findings screen, let's go back into our actual barrier here. Let me clear this. So we're back in our findings screen of the same evaluation, and right down here at the bottom, there's a barrier priority, and there's a high, moderate, low, recommended, not applicable. So if you're not providing your client with any type of barrier rating, that's fine. These are just kind of some defaults that we put in there. They may be helpful for some, but may not be for everybody else. And the intent behind it is to help your client decide, okay, is this something I should be really worried about, or is this something that I could, you know, I'd be better off spending my money somewhere else, you know, especially out here in California, we have a lot of, you know, truncated dome requirements, but, you know, for us, as you know, the way we do it is if you're looking at, if you don't have a parking stall or a path of travel into the building, I'm not going to be, you know, we're going to make that the truncated domes missing on a curb ramp around back that doesn't benefit very many people. We're going to make that a moderate or low item. Maybe a technical violation, but you may be better off in spending your money elsewhere to provide better access for people. Likewise, a high item might be, you know, a sign that costs $6 or $20, you know, or replacing door hardware. I mean, something that's really cheap and easy, you might make high, but you can adjust those and use them if you want to, not required. It is an optional field. Again, it will be included in the report right here under barrier rating. Then the next one is additional photos. That's a biggie. When you click it, it's going to ask you if you want 2 per row or 2 per page. I prefer the 2 per page one. That's the one I use almost all the time. And what it does is it will put the right here just like this. The 2 per row, what it'll do is, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I think it'll put up to 3 or 4. It'll put one photo here. I didn't apologize for not generating, but I think the photo is about that big and that big right there, and it'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do 6. Do you remember, Josh, how many?
I believe it does 8.
Okay.
So it's 2 per row, which I believe gives you 8 per page. Otherwise, as Paul's showing here, this is the 2 per page.
Yeah, and I just prefer the 2 per page because it's a much bigger photo and the client can see everything and they like it better. But you know, I certainly, but it adds 2 pages to the report. You can see here I've got page 8 and page 9. I could have easily included all 4 of these photos on page 8 here by selecting the 2 per row here. So that's the additional photos. And remember, where you add those is when you're in edit mode. When you're putting in your barrier, your as built, selecting all your finding, or going through your checklist. Right here is the right here under this button right here, additional photos, is where you select that, and you can drag and drop additional photos. This photo right above the button here is the main photo that's going to show up in the finding, or what we call the main finding photo, which is right here, which is this one right there. That's going to show up there. If you want to add the additional photos on the second page here, click this additional photos button, and you can then upload new photos or select an existing one. It puts the default main photo for that finding right here, and if you want to add additional ones, you just select them or drag and drop, whatever you want to do, and then those will show up. And by selecting the additional photos, it includes it into your report, and we'll format those for you based on 2 per row or 2 per page. The last item we have right here is the notes field. Again, another suggestion from some of our Title II clients. Good suggestion, and we've incorporated that in there. We had a couple of different users request this, so we made it happen for you based on user feedback. And that is right down here. We had always had Mark and I had always had a notes field, just for he and I, just to kind of check, double check section 404 for see if this is relevant, or hey, can you take a look at this kind of. It was just kind of our internal notes, but you could certainly use it for anything else, for tracking barriers and so forth, for tracking your compliance measures or notes internally, whatever you want. But it, just like the recommendation field, it's just a general notes field that you can put text into. And if you want to put custom code citations in there, or recommendations or findings, whatever you want, you can do that. And then when you generate the report, just like the recommendations field, it's going to include that in the PDF when you generate it, if you select that box. And just like recommendation, it will show up underneath the citation, but before, it'll show up right in here before the photos and the figure, but after the citation. So you might have you selected all of them. You'll have the finding. That's the first one. Then you'd have the code citation. If you selected, you selected that one, that would be that one. And then if you selected as built and all that, it'd be this area right here. And then if you selected recommendation, it would be right underneath. And then if you selected notes, it'd be right underneath that. And then you'd have your photo and your figure there. So,
Paul,
yeah.
While you have that page up, we actually had an excellent question come through. We were asked if you can add citation references to findings, and basically we already put the citation references to each finding. So if you feel that there's a citation reference that is applicable to the finding text, let us know. We'll review and add it. However, if you use one of our open findings that we have, where we basically give you the ability to type in your own finding information and you want to reference a citation there, you can always include the citation reference and verbiage within the finding area text that you input. That way it will show up with the rest of your citation text that you've chosen. Or if you have one of our enterprise packages that allow for custom master findings, you are able to basically dictate what citations are linked to which findings. That's in one of our enterprise packages. If anybody's interested in that, we can discuss afterwards.
Yeah, so basically what Josh is saying, I just pulled up the ABA right here. Let's say I go to, I don't know, let's go to page 150. Oh, here's a good one. Well, and we decided we want this, because we like it or whatever, or it didn't come up in the finding we wanted. I could just take that. I could literally paste that right here in my finding. Right here, I just pasted that and include it in the findings text, or I could get rid of that and put it down here in the recommendations field, or I could put it down here in the notes field, and I could say, instead of, I could say 2015 AB, ABA, section whatever, and then it would include that in the report too. So you could certainly add that and kind of have your own custom citations if you want to do multiple. And it's kind of tough because the way that many of you know how the code is developed. You have scoping and then you have the technical. Well, some of the findings we have, especially if you're dealing with a really messed up barrier, might need to reference multiple. There might be multiple sections in the code that pertain. You might be section 208 that references 502 and 506 and 804. For one thing, and trying to add all those code sections in there is tough. Plus, it also adds additional length to the report. So what we try to do is get the base section. If it's a technical item, we'll include that main technical item. And for instance, if we're writing up the cross slope of the parking stall, we won't reference chapter 2 because it's a technical item. So we'll reference the actual cross slope language in 6.0, whatever it is for parking or whatever for. And then, but if it's a scoping comment, say there's not enough parking stalls on the parking lot, then we will reference chapter 2 in the specifics table or section for that. But we won't reference both code sections. But even if it doesn't work for you, you have the ability to customize it on the fly using these additional fields here, or even amending the finding however you want, and using the customization in the report builder here.
I'd like to add, I know that Paul pulled up the actual PDF document for the ABA, but obviously you can use our Fast Finder to pull citations as well. Yeah, good point. Yeah, Fast Finder's up at ADAFastfinder.com. So it's up and running. Great resource. So that's the notes section, and then the last one here is saved evaluation, which it defaults to. And I don't recommend that you email out your report without reviewing it. So what I would do is if I ever put an email in here, it's usually to myself. I wouldn't just email it to the client directly, because I like to look at my PDF and make sure everything's formatted properly. There's no typos. Do the QC. If you've done that and you're ready to just email it directly to the client, you could certainly do that. But I generate the saved evaluation to the evaluation, and then go to my document section. Once you generated the report, you go to the document section, and then you'll see every time you generate it, excuse me, it'll show up in here, and then you can download it to your own flash drive or desktop or whatever, and then put it into an email. And if I click on it here, you get an automatic viewer if you're using. I'm on Chrome. I don't know if it works that way in the other browsers, but Chrome works real special, so I can quickly go QC it and look through the report. I didn't pick the figure, so you can see that blew up the photos like we were talking about here. I can look through it, make sure there's no typos and stuff, and it'll and if it doesn't look right, I can go right back to my screen here, go to the finding, adjust anything, adjust the title, regenerate the report, and so forth. And nice thing is it keeps this report generator screen open. So if you spend a ton of time customizing your cover letter here,
for this particular project, don't close it, because then you'll have to repaste or retype everything. So what you can do is just keep this open. You can go back to your findings, adjust, as needed. And then when you go back to your report generator here, it remembers everything, so you don't have to re-enter everything, and you can just regenerate your report real quick, until you get it how you want it. So that is good stuff right there. That's all the report generator. Again, it's all pretty self-explanatory on the report screen here. What I wanted to cover next is the customized cover letters. So in the report here, when you use our cover letter generator, and you don't have to, another way you can do is you can generate your own cover sheet, which is this page. You can also generate your own cover letter using Word or something like that, and then just use our, BlueDAG's findings, and then just merge them together in a PDF. So you could certainly do your own custom, logos and colors and qualifiers, cover letters, table of contents, all that kind of stuff in Word, and then just generate the report without the cover letter or anything, and just use the findings sheets, and just merge it all together in a Word doc. In the PDF. But I'm going to show you how to create your own custom template here. So what we're going to do for those that have this package over here on the left-hand screen right here, we have the Manage tab, which is right over here. So we're going to focus on that for a second. So if we click on Manage here, you will see letters. You may not see all this here because I'm special, but for those of you that have the letters package, you'll get this, and when you click on it, it'll take you to a view letter screen. And right now, there's two default ones in here. But let's say I wanted to create a new one that was specific for I don't know. What's a good one? Let's call this one Paul's new cover letter. Oops.
You type like I do.
I know. For, let's go multifamily. Okay, so that's that, and then you'll see right here placeholders right here. These are the keywords. So customer contact name, evaluation address, evaluation title. If you type that in that format in this screen right here, it'll automatically merge that. You can see right here we have brackets, customer dash contact dash name brackets. And what it'll do is every time you select this letter in the report generator, it will put in the customer's name there for you. Likewise, right over here you'll see evaluation address. It'll put the evaluation address, and you can do it multiple times. You could do whatever you want. So I'm gonna steal my text over here. Let's go here. I'm stealing off of a Word document I just copied. I'm going to come in here and get rid of all of this jargon here because I don't like it. And I'm going to put in my new multifamily dwelling cover text that I've worked on. And now I want to have, right in here, I want to have the evaluation title. So I'm going to copy the keyword here, evaluation title. I just highlighted it. Now I'm going to insert it down here. Hopefully you guys can see this well enough. So I just pasted it right there, evaluation title. So now whenever I generate this report, it's going to put the evaluation title between original and construction. Doesn't make any sense, but you get the point here. Any of these keywords here, and then I might down here, I got subscriber name, which would be me, the evaluator. So if I want to have my title down here, I'm going to put name, and then I'll put world's greatest ADA inspector. Or whatever, your phone number, you can put your own little signature right there, and it'll automatically put your name in there. Or if you have multiple users in the platform that are using the same letter, you could also have it default to them. So if John runs this report one day and Sam does it another day or whatever, it'll automatically put their name in the report. So I've created my new cover letter. I'm going to hit save, but before I hit save, I just want to show you this button over here on the left, which is refer to default. Up here on the top right, I just highlighted it in a red circle. If you totally screw it up and you're like, oh man, I just messed it up, you can just hit refer to default and it will it'll go back. But I'm not going to do that because we just spent all that time doing it. So I'm going to hit save. And remember, this is called Paul's new cover letter for multifamily. So it just saved it. Now if I go back, going back to my dashboard, I'm going to go back to my demo report and I'm going to go down to my report generator right here, evaluation report. I'm going to select a few things here. And right here, now I've selected cover letter. So it's asking me for a template. If I go on and let's say I inadvertently, I'm just going to select a few boxes here and I go down here and I hit save. It just gave me an error message. Hey, saying, wait a minute, you've selected cover letter up here, but you haven't selected a template yet. So you need to do that. So now when I hit template, now you see there's Paul's new cover letter right here. So it's always there. So now I don't have to retype it. Bam, it just put it in here. It typed in the title of the report right here in the middle between original and construction, the title of the report. Anywhere I'd put the address or any of those keywords, it would have done the same. So very handy if you have a repeat or letter that you're always using all the time. And again, you could set these up under client A, client B, multifamily, restaurant, parks, public way, whatever you're doing, assembly occupancies, any new curb ramp site, any numerous ways you want to set it up to fit your needs. It's all totally customizable and doable. And then each time you generate that report, then it will always bring over that text into your cover letter on your PDF for you. Real handy tool.
Every subscriber has the ability to edit a single letter. However, if your package includes additional letters, you will see the add letter button at the top of the manage letters screen.
Here, I'll go there real quick. You talk about
so up there into the upper left, the add new plus button. If your package includes the letter manager, you will have the ability to add as many letters as you'd like. If you have our small business package, you'll always have one letter that you can edit any way that you want.
Okay, so yeah, they're limited on the small business, but the premium and above get the full access.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good to know. So if you don't see that, that may explain it. And if you want that or you want to upgrade, just contact us or Josh, and we'll happy to help you out there. But you should have plenty of options available to you either way. And we're getting close to our hour here. I got about 10 minutes, and I think it's going to work out good. I got a previous question submitted to us about our formatting error, and I wanted to go over that. And I'll use, it was Stephanie, I believe. I don't want to say her last name. I want to protect the innocent. But I thank her for submitting a great question that I think you guys, excuse me, will find very helpful. Let me get I cleansed a couple pages from her report, because I don't want to make sure it's all covered. Yes. Okay. So here we go. This is a error that she was getting, and you guys might be getting a similar error. So this is a report that was generated, and you can see this is finding 11, and it's 5 pages. So BlueDAG has errored out because of multiple different things here I want to share with all of you and Stephanie. You can see it's pushed the code citations to this page. Then it also pushed the as-built. It's all jumbled up here. You can't see anything. Big blank page. Another page for budgeting range. Another page for the recommendation and the barrier rating. And then you have the photo, which I've cleansed out here, and the figure. So it's 5. It took one finding and made it into 5 pages because of all kinds of different formatting errors. Well, there's 2 things there's several things, but first thing, I'm going to start at the top that will help you out. Anytime you see your report title in 2, let me zoom in on this. See how we have 2 lines here? Okay, I would recommend that you shorten your evaluation title. So it's pushing the zip code down here, which is eating up valuable space. And BlueDAG will cap the number of characters that you're allowed to have in the description. But oftentimes you don't need as much as you think you need, and when you really make a long evaluation title, it's problematic. So let me go into here and show you where I'm talking about. I'm going to go into evaluation details, and we're talking about this field right here, evaluation title. It's taking ABC Demo Store disabled access review for ADA. And it's trying to type that all right here, plus the address and the zip code, and it's pushing it to 2 pages. So shorten this up. What you can do is say ABC demo store, and just get rid of all that, and then it'll fit the description of the evaluation and the address on one line, and then that'll move everything up. So that's one piece. That'll gain you some valuable real estate. The next piece is we've selected multiple barrier standards. Like I mentioned, we have the 16 CBC, the 13 CBC, and the 2010 CBC, and it's compounded in that this particular finding has several citations referenced because it's a really generic finding that basically the drinking fountain's just messed up, so it has multiple references, to make it reference. So what I would recommend is not selecting. I mean, I'm not sure why you would have 16 and 13 for one thing, and I would recommend just selecting 16 or just 13. And then it's compounded because we have multiple sections referenced with this particular finding. It won't happen in all cases, but if it does, I would say, just pick the one standard that you want to show up, or not at all. And then it will if you don't have any code citation text selected in your report, then it won't include all those. This is just a bad one because, again, it has multiple citation references, and then we compounded that by selecting multiple barrier standards. And so, we've tried to develop the maximum amount of flexibility without, hampering it. And so it's trying to jumble all those different variables and flexibility that we want you to have with the same time within the constraints of a printing and a PDF. And finding that sweet spot is what we think we have, but it's not perfect. But if you do a few little tweaks here, you can do what you want. The next spot that is messing up or taking real estate is right here in your web address. So if you go back into your user details, my subscriber details, make sure you don't have the HTTP and the backslash and all that. Just put your base www.calcast.com or whatever. That's pushed this web address to 2, and you can see it's right behind the BlueDAG watermark here. So that took up another line of valuable area. And where you do that, if we go into back on manage and go to my subscriber details, and I've purposely made this one just like the report here. You can see this one has HTTP. Just delete that, get rid of the backslash here. You don't need that, and just make it the bare bones web address that you need for your company, and then hit save. And again, that is when you're on your screen, go to manage, my subscriber details, go down to the bottom for your company website, and put the least amount of your main homepage. Hopefully it's a short web address. If it's a really long one, then it can push down. And some like this HTTP, you don't need that, so that'll gain you another line of text in the report. And let's see, this particular report, Stephanie, also because of the multiple code citations, we also have multiple lines in the as-built, which compounded it. And we did budgeting range and barrier and recommendation. So it's trying to, again, cramp all that in there. And I think it's really derived around the code citations. I think if you limit the code citations or your barrier standards to just the 13 or the 16, it'll reduce it at least down to 2 pages. And then, but when you, just for everybody's reference, if you're selecting multiple barrier standards along with recommendation, notes, barrier rating, budgeting range, and multiple a big long finding and a big long as-built, it may do this, and you just have to play with it. It's just the way the system's set up. We've tried to hit that sweet spot with maximizing the flexibility, but at the same time within the constraints of a PDF that works for everybody. And you'll also notice that as these things, the code citation and your barrier rating and recommendation text increases, the finding photo and the figure photo will get really small. So if you end up with a really small one, on one page, play with the code citation text or reducing your text in some of those fields to help gain some real estate, or possibly not having a figure included on that one, and just go with one big photo, or or go with all additional photos. So hopefully that helps you out there, Stephanie, and those others that may be seeing formatting errors. Be careful. We like to have all those bells and whistles, but sometimes with some of these, it can be problematic with the report and funk out the formatting for you. And if you have any questions on that, or you're having struggles with that and you can't figure it out, give me or Josh or Mike or Mark or whoever, any of us support, just hit the support button and we'll try to help you solve that and come up with another alternative or some other ways you can accomplish what you're trying to achieve without having to redesign the system. So I think that's it. We're right at 1 hour. Josh, you have any questions or anything else that we've covered? Anybody chiming in there on the Q&A?
No, we've covered all questions that came in on the chat, and I believe that you've pretty much covered everything for the report generation process. If anyone has any questions after the video, or I'm sorry, after the session, feel free to email us, and we'll of course also post this video on our YouTube channel as well as on the BlueDAG.com website.
Yeah, and were there any other updates that we were working on, Josh? I know we had a little bit of, we have all the 2016 CBC in there. We had a little bit of checklists, code citations, snafu. I have about 140 master findings I've got to go in and cleanse. I'm working on that today and this week, preparing for the 2016 CBC. But are there any other updates that you can think of? I know you mentioned the figure. I know we were working on some other stuff that we wanted to let our subscribers know about. What am I forgetting here?
We are inputting the TAS forms for Texas. For any of our Texas inspectors out there, we are going to the ADA symposium in, is it Austin or Houston?
Austin, Texas, yes.
Austin. We will, at that, we will go ahead and roll out our TAS forms, and being able to go ahead and have those filled out within the evaluation if it is a TAS evaluation. We're starting with the 5 most common TAS forms. Additionally, we are currently in the late stages of beta testing our Title II rollout, which is a slightly different product. But for those government agencies out there that are interested in a grievance procedure, transition plan, notices, self-evaluations, and things like that, that should be coming out mid 2017. Also, we are in the late stages of alpha testing a Microsoft mobile application to complement our existing Android and iPhone applications.
Awesome.
Also, that'll be coming out in 2017.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Yeah, that's going to be good. And if anybody has any other topics that we want to cover, we're always looking for topics for these webinars. One idea I had, I haven't even mentioned to Josh or anybody else, was it's kind of just a thought I had. I was thinking about maybe in January doing Paul's top 10 hacks for BlueDAG, where I'd show you guys how I have my workstation set up for one, and how I put together my reports in the portal. And there's a lot of tips. There's a few tricks you can do, and I've noticed talking to a few people, they don't know about them that I do, with photos and editors and how to keep track of things and set things up. So that's one topic I was thinking about. But if you guys have other ones that you want us to cover, we covered the main areas in the last 6 months or 9 months since we've launched the webinars. But if you guys have something specific you want us to cover in more detail, please share with us and submit your questions. So good stuff. And we're right at 11:59. Boom, just went to 12. So we're good. I think that's it. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and have a great Christmas and New Year. And we will post this on YouTube. And Josh, I'll shoot you the video here shortly so you guys can post that hopefully this evening or tomorrow. And with that, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right, Josh. Talk to you later. Goodbye, everybody.